Hello, I'm back. I think too much about money. I worry a lot. That's been a pattern of mine for a long time, many years now. And there's always a justification. And I mean, worrying is always pointless. But it's like the way that I even think about, making money and the way that I worry about it, it's like it's not practical at all. And I was reflecting earlier tonight on my high school years, where that's when I was mainly impressed and influenced as to how one apparently makes money in this world, which is through basically through jobs. I was kind of taught that the way that you make money apparently is you go to school and then you go to university and you study something that gets you a good, safe job that pays well, and that's what you do. And I always rejected that, not so much because I disagreed with, that's the way that you make money, but mainly just based on how I hated the experience of doing what I have to, according to the schools or the jobs, the bosses, whoever. I just disagreed with the experience of the person I had to become and the things I had to do in order to conform and be rewarded with things like money. I hated the experience. I didn't enjoy it, as a young person, especially as a musician. It's like I thought I knew what I liked, I knew what I enjoyed. I knew the basics between a good experience and one I didn't enjoy. But anyways, it's like I still think that way, which is quite insane because, I mean, years and years of life experience has shown me the opposite. I've had lots of jobs. And I mean, the thing that would usually happen with most jobs is I would just, burn myself out doing what I had to do to fulfill the obligations of the job. And I would either never get paid enough money to live, or even if I did get paid like a decent salary, usually the burnout would end up backfiring on me in terms of eating up the salary. So for instance, I would get sick and then I would have to spend money on medical bills, and then there goes my salary. There goes that money. So it's pretty crazy that I would still even think that way at all. And like I said earlier, it's like there's always an excuse or a justification as to why I might worry about money. Currently in my life, those excuses and justifications, which I see in which my mind, presents itself as reason, is the fact that I'm a landowner, I own homes, I own vehicles, I have a daughter, so I have a lot of maintenance, a lot of upkeep costs, a lot of overhead costs in my life. My daughter's young, so I'm going to be taking care of her for many foreseeable years. I've got myself to take care of, and on top of it all, I live in a country where the jobs pay like nothing. So even when I project into my mind, oh, I could maybe go do this job or that job, the main thing is like returning to teaching. That's at least what's in my head as far as like the things that I know about that I can do. So it's like right there's a problem because I'm looking at the past as like a way towards my future. And then even when I look at that option, it's like, God, no, that's a terrible idea. I'll just make no money and destroy myself and probably get sick with stress again, trying to do it all and not even making enough money to survive. Ouch. So it's interesting. I've really kind of missed. It's like I tend to forget a point and miss a very important point, which is the fact that money's just the surface thing. Money's just a manifestation. And I'm starting, it's like I don't necessarily even believe that I have money problems, that any human beings have money problems. What I see more clearly is that we have, as human beings, we have problems with integrity. We have corruption problems. We have, call it moral problems. Not that I'm a moralist, but but you get my point. We as human beings, it's like we live in a kind of fallen state. We do things that are bad. We do things that are evil. There's not a single human being I know that doesn't have bad habits, addictions, and basically some form of evil behavior. Even if it's just a little bit, even if they're not even aware of it, that what they're doing and what they're living is evil. Although I would speculate that if you really question people, most people know that we just tend to hide it from ourselves. And so I would rather consider success with money as really just an external manifestation of as being a reflection of who you are internally. And I'm not, it's not like I'm trying to say like as black and white. Like it's not like as simple as like, oh, if you're a good person, you're gonna get money, you're gonna get rewarded with money. No, not necessarily. But I would say that if you live by what's right, if you don't do bad things, evil things, in thought, word, and deed, if you are of a pure heart and a clear and sound mind, then I really don't see how you as a person could not be successful in this world. I mean, even if you didn't necessarily make money, even if it worked out like terribly in some way, and like say you die, and you have the opposite of, or whatever, the opposite of what people consider success. What you do have is your integrity and your principles and the awareness that you've done everything you could to live a good life. But yeah, there is a part of me that does consider that if you do live a good life and you are of clear and sound mind and you do have a pure heart, that is eventually inevitably going to be reflected to you in some way, where you receive riches in some form. And maybe that's money, maybe it's not. Maybe that happens within a small time frame, maybe it doesn't. Maybe it takes years and years. Maybe it never happens, and it's only something that you fully are able to experience when you die, or that is experienced by those who you've affected, whose lives you've touched. But, you know, I'm starting to just consider that all those fears and worries and different ways of thinking about making money, it's like it all seems practical, but it's surface level stuff. And so what I notice about that is you get so focused on the practical how-to of, oh, I gotta work, I gotta do this, I gotta do that. Apparently, again, all these apparent ways to make money, all these apparent things you have to do that apparently, if you just do enough of these right things, and you accumulate enough like work or correct actions, that you're just gonna have financial success one day. And that's, man, that is proven wrong like over and over again. There's loads of people that they work their asses off. All they do is work and try to do everything right and manage their finances well and carefully, and it doesn't work out necessarily. Like, I've never met a person who's penny pinched their way to the top, who've nickel and dimed and saved their way to the top. On the contrary, I find the people who have been greatly rewarded and admonished in life are people who gave it all for their principles, who stood with integrity, who maintained a pure heart and held on to their principles even through the worst, darkest, harshest, hardest, most challenging, nightmarish experiences, you know. And when I look at my own life, that's where I would attribute any, you know, financial success I've had. It's to being a person of principle and having integrity and loving what's right. So the other thing I was going to say about being so focused in all these beliefs and ideas about apparently things that you do that make you money is that those take you away from your core. Those take, in terms of like focusing on the things that really do matter in this world, like your principles, like your integrity, like your heart, like what's going on here, you know, all of those things that you get preoccupied with, chasing money and doing all the right things, apparently those take you away from focusing on what really matters, which is what's going on inside of yourself, what's going on inside of your own mind, in your own heart, how that's reflected to you in your external reality, and who you are within that, who you are within and who you are without, as above so below, as within so without. Being focused on tasks and actions and apparently doing all the right things to make money and working hard and all this stuff. I mean, it's not to say that you shouldn't be practical and work hard. It's just, again, being in that kind of focus as a way of apparently gaining money and making a good life for yourself. I mean, even having money is no guarantee of anything, of having a good life of any kind necessarily. So that's what I've noticed is those things take me away from my passions. Those things tend to make me very robotic, very unexpressive. And life's too short, man. Like, nothing is worth giving up your principles and taking your focus away from what is right and what is true and what really matters in this world, which is who you are. which I hate to use the word moral or morality, but at the end of the day, that kind of really is like what it's all about. And maybe that's not always clear, like what's right and what's wrong. We tend to get lost in all kinds of crazy behaviors in this world. But that's why, is because we're so focused chasing illusions, going on wild goose chases, thinking we're doing everything right, when in reality it's the exact opposite. Focusing on everything external, when in fact we should be focusing on everything internal. Even when we look at our world and our external world, like, we have to understand it as a reflection of who we are. And you're never going to see anything clearly in this reality if you yourself are not clear and standing up, stable in your principles and in your integrity in who you are. That's it for today. Thanks.